Hello, my friend. Today, we will once again explore and talk about the topic, making a man happy is easy. Most wives won't even try. Let's discover them together. There's a question that gets asked constantly in relationship spaces. What do men actually want? Books have been written about it. Podcasts dissect it endlessly. Women discuss it with each other like it's some kind of unsolvable mystery. But here's the thing. It's not a mystery. What men want is remarkably simple. So simple that when men actually say it out loud, they're often dismissed. That can't be all, there must be more to it. You're not being honest about your real needs. Today, we're going to talk about what men actually need to be happy in relationships, why those needs are so straightforward, and why, despite being simple, so many women either can't or won't meet them. This isn't about bashing anyone, it's about clarity. Because once you understand what's actually happening, you can decide what to do about it. There's an epidemic of unhappy husbands. Not the loud kind of unhappy, not the men who complain constantly or make scenes, the quiet kind. The men who come home, go through the motions, and feel nothing. These men have learned to keep their dissatisfaction to themselves. They tried expressing it early in the relationship and got nowhere. They tried explaining what they needed and were told their needs were unreasonable, immature, or selfish. So they stopped asking. They provide, they show up, they do what's expected, and inside they feel like roommates in their own marriages. Tolerated but not truly wanted. Useful but not appreciated. Present but not seen. If you ask their wives, many would say the marriage is fine. Maybe not perfect, but functional. They'd point to the house, the stability, the fact that he doesn't cause problems. They might even say he seems content. They'd be wrong, but they'd never know it because he stopped telling them years ago. This is the quiet epidemic. Not dramatic blow-ups or obvious misery, just the slow erosion of a man's spirit inside a relationship that looks functional from the outside. He still shows up, he still performs his role, but the man who once felt excited to come home now just feels tired. The man who once initiated affection now just waits for rejection. The man who once shared his thoughts now keeps them locked away. And the worst part is how normal this feels to everyone involved. Like this is just what marriage becomes. Like this quiet disappointment is just the inevitable price of commitment. Let's get specific. What do men actually need to feel happy and fulfilled in a relationship? Peace. That's the big one. Men want to come home to calm, not chaos. They want their home to be a refuge from the stress of the outside world, not another source of stress they have to manage. Respect, not dominance, respect. Acknowledgement that what they do matters. Recognition that their efforts are seen and valued. The sense that their partner actually thinks well of them rather than viewing them as a problem to be managed. Appreciation. When a man works hard, provides, shows up consistently, he wants to feel like that counts for something. Not constant praise, but genuine acknowledgement that his contributions matter. Physical affection. This isn't just about sex, though that matters too. It's about feeling wanted, desired, chosen. The reassurance that his partner is still attracted to him, still interested, still engaged. Emotional stability. Men want partners who can regulate their own emotions without requiring constant management. Someone who doesn't turn small problems into catastrophes. Someone whose mood isn't a minefield he has to navigate every single day. That's it. Peace, respect, appreciation, affection, stability. None of these are complicated. None of them require extraordinary effort. None of them are unreasonable asks in a partnership. Notice what's not on the list. Men aren't asking for perfection. They're not asking for constant entertainment. They're not asking for someone to anticipate their every need. They're not asking for a servant or a therapist or a mother figure. They're asking for basic partnership. The same things they'd give to a buddy. Respect, appreciation, not making life harder than it needs to be. It's almost insulting how low the bar actually is. And yet, in relationship after relationship, these basic needs go unmet. Here's something interesting. When men describe what they need, they're often not believed. Women's needs in relationships tend to be complex and nuanced. Emotional attunement, quality time, feeling understood.
having difficult conversations, processing feelings together. These needs require attention, effort, and ongoing work to understand and meet. So when a man says, "I just want peace and respect," many women assume he's hiding something. That can't be all he wants. He must have deeper needs he's not articulating. There must be some complicated emotional landscape underneath that simple request. But often there isn't. The simplicity is the truth. Men generally don't need elaborate emotional processing. They don't need hours of conversation about feelings. They don't need constant reassurance about the state of the relationship. They need their environment to be calm, their efforts to be acknowledged, and their presence to be appreciated. The fact that this seems too simple to be true is part of the problem. When you're looking for complexity, you miss what's right in front of you. If men's needs are so simple, why do so many marriages fail to meet them? First, there's a prioritization issue. In many relationships, the woman's emotional needs take center stage. Her feelings, her concerns, her experience of the relationship. These become the focus of attention. His needs are assumed to be secondary, or worse, already met by default. The assumption seems to be if she's happy, he must be happy too. He has a home, a family, a partner. What more could he want? His needs are invisible because they're assumed to be satisfied. Second, there's an effort gap. Many men put significant effort into understanding what their partner needs. They read articles, listen to podcasts, try to learn her love language. They adjust their behavior to meet her stated needs even when those needs seem complicated or confusing. The reverse effort is less common. Third, there's active undermining. Some women don't just fail to meet their husband's needs, they actively work against them. They bring chaos instead of peace. They criticize instead of appreciate. They withhold affection as punishment. They create instability and call it passion. This isn't every woman, it's not even most women, but it happens enough that patterns emerge and men start to notice. In some relationships, when direct communication fails, indirect tactics take over. It starts small, a suggestion that becomes a demand, a request that becomes nagging, a disagreement that becomes a cold shoulder. These aren't necessarily conscious strategies. Sometimes they're just habits picked up from watching other relationships or modeling what seemed to work in the past. But when they work, they escalate. If withdrawing affection gets him to comply, withdrawal becomes a regular tool. If emotional volatility makes him back down from conflicts, volatility becomes a pattern. If guilt gets results, guilt gets used more often. The man learns that peace only comes through compliance. His needs don't matter, only keeping her satisfied enough to stop the conflict. The relationship becomes about managing her moods rather than building something together. And the worst part, many men accept this as normal. They've never experienced anything different, so they assume this is just how relationships work. The chaos, the manipulation, the constant emotional management. They think that's the price of admission. It's not. It's dysfunction, and it's destroying men who don't even know they deserve better. The irony is that these manipulation tactics often backfire in the long run. Yes, they might get short-term compliance. Yes, they might win individual battles, but they lose the war. Every time a man complies out of exhaustion rather than agreement, a piece of his respect for his partner dies. Every time he gives in just to make the chaos stop, he trusts her a little less. The man who's been manipulated into submission doesn't become a devoted husband, he becomes a resentful one. He's still there physically, but he's gone emotionally. He's learned that this relationship isn't safe for him, so he protects himself the only way he can, by withdrawing everything except the bare minimum. Let's name something directly. A significant factor in these dynamics is selfishness. When one partner's needs consistently take priority over the others, when one person's comfort matters more than the others, when one person's happiness is the goal and the other is just the means to achieve it, that's not partnership, that's service. Some people enter relationships primarily focused on what they can get. What does this person provide me? How does this person make me feel? What can I extract from this arrangement? The partner's experience is secondary or irrelevant. This isn't gendered. Selfish people exist in both genders, but we're specifically talking about men's unhappiness in relationships. And in that context, the selfishness often manifests as a woman who sees her husband as a provider of experiences, stability, and emotional labor, rather than as a person with his own needs. She expects him to work on understanding her. She doesn't work on understanding him. She expects him to meet her needs. She doesn't consider what would meet his. She expects him to sacrifice for the relationship.
Her sacrifices are minimal or non-existent. This imbalance creates resentment, distance, and eventually indifference. By the time the man has checked out emotionally, she often seems genuinely surprised. Didn't she have everything she wanted? Underneath these behaviors are belief systems, assumptions about relationships that shape how people act. Some people operate from a scarcity mindset in relationships. There's only so much attention, appreciation, and affection to go around. If I give to my partner, I have less for myself. So I hoard, I take, I make sure my needs are met first because otherwise they won't be met at all. This belief turns marriage into a competition rather than a partnership. Every interaction is about who wins. Every decision is about who gets their way. Every resource, time, money, energy, attention, is fought over rather than shared. Other people operate from a self-centered framework where their internal experience is the only one that truly matters.
They can intellectually understand that their partner has feelings, but they don't viscerally feel it. Other people are supporting characters in the movie of their life, present but not fully real. When you genuinely don't experience your partner as a full person with needs as valid as your own, meeting those needs feels like optional charity rather than basic partnership. These belief systems aren't usually conscious. The person operating from them would probably deny it if confronted, but the behavior tells the truth even when the words don't. One of the most frustrating aspects of this dynamic is the lack of awareness. Many women who are making their husbands miserable genuinely don't know they're doing it. They see their own actions as reasonable, justified, even loving. The nagging is just trying to improve him. The criticism is just honest feedback. The withholding of affection is just a natural response to feeling disconnected. From inside their own perspective, they're doing nothing wrong. They can't see the pattern their husband sees. They can't feel the cumulative weight of constant small rejections. They don't understand why he seems distant when she's been right there the whole time. This awareness gap makes the problem almost impossible to solve through direct conversation. When he says, "I need peace," she hears, "I want you to stop having feelings." When he says, "I need respect," she hears, "I want you to submit." When he says, "I need appreciation," she hears, "I want praise for doing the bare minimum." His actual words get filtered through her interpretation, and what comes out the other side doesn't match what he meant. So he stops trying to explain. He stops asking for what he needs. He goes quiet. And she interprets the quiet as contentment rather than surrender. This awareness gap is one of the cruelest aspects of the dynamic. He feels unheard and unseen. She feels like she's doing everything right. Both believe they're trying, both believe the other is the problem. And without someone from outside the system pointing out what's actually happening, this gap can persist for decades. By the time she realizes something is wrong, maybe when he finally asks for a divorce or when she catches him completely checked out, it's often too late. The years of dismissed needs have calcified into indifference. The man who once desperately wanted her to understand no longer cares whether she does. Relationships move in spirals, either up or down. In an ascending spiral, generosity creates generosity. When one partner genuinely tries to meet the other's needs, the other feels valued and naturally wants to reciprocate. Appreciation flows both ways. Affection creates more affection. The relationship gets better because both people are actively making it better. In a descending spiral, selfishness creates defensiveness. When one partner takes without giving, the other starts protecting themselves. Walls go up, resentment builds. Each person becomes more focused on their own unmet needs and less capable of meeting their partners. The relationship deteriorates because both people are now operating in self-preservation mode. Here's the crucial insight. Someone has to break the pattern. In a descending spiral, waiting for your partner to change first means the spiral continues. Someone has to decide to be generous even when they're not receiving generosity. Someone has to meet needs even when theirs aren't being met. That's not unfair, it's strategic. You can't control what your partner does. You can only control what you do. And if you want the spiral to reverse, you have to be the one to reverse it. The question is, who's willing to go first? In most struggling relationships, both partners are waiting for the other to change. He thinks, "Why should I try harder when she doesn't appreciate what I already do?"
She thinks, why should I give more when he's emotionally distant? Both are right in a sense, and both are stuck. The partner who goes first, who starts giving even when they're not receiving, takes a risk. They might give and get nothing back. They might extend themselves and get rejected. It feels unfair to be the one who breaks the pattern when the other person helped create it. But here's the alternative. Stay stuck in a descending spiral, each waiting for the other until the relationship dies of mutual neglect. Someone has to choose differently, or nothing changes. Let's be concrete about what meeting a man's basic needs actually looks like. Creating peace means not starting fights over small things. It means letting some annoyances go rather than turning them into conflicts. It means being someone whose presence is calming rather than agitating. It means making home a place he wants to be rather than a place he endures. Showing respect means speaking to him like you value him, not rolling your eyes when he talks, not dismissing his opinions or belittling his choices, not treating him like another child to manage, respecting his competence even when you do things differently. Expressing appreciation means noticing what he does and acknowledging it, saying thank you for the things he handles, recognizing the work that goes into providing, protecting, and showing up consistently, not treating his contributions as invisible baseline expectations. Offering affection means touching him, kissing him, showing physical desire, not using intimacy as a reward or punishment, making him feel wanted, not just tolerated. Maintaining stability means managing your own emotions like an adult, not making your bad days his problem to solve, not expecting him to regulate your moods for you. Being a partner he can count on rather than a variable he has to constantly adjust to. None of this is extraordinary. None of it requires superhuman effort. It just requires actually caring about his experience of the relationship, not just your own. So, if it's this simple, why don't more people do it? Some genuinely don't know. They've never had these dynamics explained clearly. They've absorbed cultural messages that men don't have emotional needs or that men's needs are automatically met through the relationship's existence. They're operating on bad information. Others know but don't believe it matters. They've decided his needs are less important than hers, maybe because she's the one who's allowed to have needs, maybe because she thinks meeting his needs would mean losing something, maybe because she just doesn't care enough to bother. Others know but actively choose not to. They've calculated, consciously or not, that they can get what they want without giving anything back. He'll stay anyway. He's already committed. The cost of leaving is too high. She can take without giving because there's no consequence. This last category is the most destructive. These are the relationships where a man wakes up at 50, looks at his life, and realizes he spent decades serving someone who never once asked what he needed.
The tragedy isn't that making him happy was hard. The tragedy is that it was easy, and she simply chose not to try. And when these marriages end, which they often do eventually, there's usually shock on one side. She didn't see it coming. How could he leave after all these years? How could he give up on them? What she doesn't understand is that he gave up years ago. The divorce is just the paperwork catching up to reality. He checked out when he realized his happiness wasn't a priority. His needs weren't going to be met, and his presence in the relationship was valued only for what he provided, not who he was. The leaving didn't happen suddenly. It happened gradually, invisibly over years of small rejections and dismissed needs. The final step through the door was just the last in a long series of steps away. If you're watching this and recognizing your own relationship, whether you're the man whose needs aren't being met or the woman realizing you haven't been trying, what do? First, awareness. You can't fix a problem you don't see. If you've made it this far, you're already past that hurdle. You know what the issues are. Second, honesty. Be honest about what's actually happening in your relationship, not the story you tell others, not the version that makes you look good, the truth. Is there peace or chaos? Is there respect or contempt? Is there appreciation or expectation? Is there affection or distance? Third, ownership. Take responsibility for your part. If you're the one not trying, own it. If you're the one accepting treatment you shouldn't accept, own that too. Change starts with acknowledging what needs to change. Fourth, action. Do something different. If you've been creating chaos, create calm. If you've been criticizing, appreciate. If you've been withholding, give. If you've been tolerating dysfunction, set boundaries. The spiral can reverse. Relationships can improve, but only if someone decides to make them better rather than waiting for change to happen on its own. If you're a man watching this and seeing your own marriage, you need to hear something important. Your needs are valid. You're not asking for too much by wanting peace. You're not being needy by wanting respect. You're not immature for wanting appreciation. You're not shallow for wanting affection. You're not demanding for wanting stability. These are reasonable, healthy needs that any good partner would want to meet. If your needs have been dismissed, minimized, or ignored for years, that's not your fault. But staying in that situation is your choice. You can advocate for yourself. You can set boundaries. You can require better treatment as a condition of continued investment. You teach people how to treat you. If you accept being treated as invisible, you'll be treated as invisible. If you require being treated as valuable, people who don't value you will leave, and that's not a loss. That's a filter working correctly. Your happiness matters. Your experience matters. Your presence in the relationship should make your life better, not just hers. If you've been told that wanting basic respect is controlling, that asking for appreciation is needy, that expecting affection is demanding, you've been lied to. By a culture that doesn't value men's emotional needs, by partners who benefit from you not having standards, by a narrative that frames male needs as optional at best, problematic at worst. Reject that narrative. Your needs are as valid as anyone else's. A relationship that doesn't meet them isn't a relationship worth keeping. If you're a woman watching this and feeling defensive, I'd ask you to pause and consider why. Nothing in this video has been unreasonable. The needs described are basic. The behaviors criticized are genuinely harmful. The dynamics outlined are real and documented. If your response is not all women, of course not all women, but if it's not you, this video isn't about you. If it is you, defensiveness won't help. Here's a question worth sitting with. When's the last time you genuinely considered what your partner needs? Not what you think he should need, not what's convenient for you to give. What he actually needs in his own words taken at face value. When's the last time you asked him and really listened to the answer? If you can't remember, that's information worth having. If you haven't asked because you assumed you already knew, you might be wrong. If you haven't asked because you don't think it matters, that's a much bigger problem. A man who feels seen, respected, and appreciated becomes a better partner. He gives more, he invests more, he shows up more fully. Meeting a man's needs is easy. Peace, respect, appreciation, affection, stability. That's the list. It's not complicated. The question isn't whether it can be done. The question is whether anyone cares enough to do it. And that's where too many relationships fail. Not because the needs were too hard to meet, but because one person decided their partner's needs weren't worth meeting. Relationships work when both people are committed to the other's happiness, not just their own. They fail when one person is taking while the other is giving. They die when one person stops even trying. If you're in a relationship where your needs aren't being met, you have a decision to make. You can accept it, you can try to change it, or you can leave. But you can't keep pretending it doesn't matter, because it does. If you're in a relationship where you haven't been trying, you have a different decision. You can start right now, today. It's not too late to become the partner your person deserves. Making someone happy is easy when you actually care about their happiness. So, what are your thoughts on today's topic? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel, Psychological Depth, so you won't miss any of our upcoming posts. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.